And we're back with the show. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Thanks so much for watching. Listening is truly appreciated. Marvel has found some happiness lately after the debacles known as the Marvels, as debacles known as Secret Invasion. After their terrible year of 2023, 2024 seems to be turning out a little bit better, a smarter game plan per se, even though we may disagree on Echo, but still, after Echo, it looks like it's going to be a decent year to a very good year for Marvel because they've got some things planned. They've actually streamlined their plans for 2024 before they go and explode all over the place again in 2025. And here today to discuss the plans for Marvel. Good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check them out today as part of the MCU. It's Bleeding Edge. That's right, the MCU's Bleeding Edge. It is Jeff Sloboda. And Jeff, the man of true knowledge. Sloboda, great to have you here, my friend. Looking forward to a great conversation on Marvel, especially when it comes down to it. We need to discuss a lot of things. First off, yes, I didn't mention it before we went on the air, but it's something we've been trying to play phone tag for a while now, trying to get back together on this. You caught Echo. I was not impressed with it. Vincent D'Onofrio's great turn as Kingpin could not hold down a terrible gangster point of it. I did appreciate the Native American lore, and I thought that was a good part of it. But your thoughts on Echo before we really get into Marvel's marvelous week?
They mirror yours, Gerald. Thanks for having me on as always. And essentially, I'm on the same page with you. I actually like the Native American lore stuff. I don't, didn't understand the complaints with that. Really did not like the changing of her comic book powers to that degree, to that level. Mm-hmm. That was a real problem for me. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest with you. In the finale, especially the glowy hands thing, I didn't need that. Not from this character from the comics, right? Like I'm not a comic action stickler, but that didn't have to happen. Having grandma and like the cousin or whatever suddenly get the glowy hands too, didn't like that. And they just they needed more episodes. The finale wasn't good, and that first trailer was so damn good that it got me really excited. So I was really disappointed about what we got from it.
I agree, Alan. Just want to let you know we're going to be talking about Deadpool in just a second, but I definitely agree with you, Alan, on that. Once again, it is Jeff Sloboda, the man of true knowledge. He is a good friend indeed from the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Please go ahead and check it out today, wherever you get your podcasts. Again, I will say Vincent D'Onofrio's turn as Kingpin has me excited for his future going forward, not just in the upcoming Daredevil series for 2025, but beyond. It's what he could be as far as a possible main bad guy down the road. But I do want to go ahead and ask you this. When it comes down to Echo, it was something that Marvel just it's so weird because the What If series season 2 I really liked. I thought it was actually better than season 1, but they kind of threw that out there at the back end of the year, so people just already forgotten about it. This they didn't have enough confidence in, so they did the Netflix thing and threw it all at one time at you.
Didn't like it.
So they just threw it out at you. But it looks like they're just swept that under the rug, dusted that off, and are now heading out on a different direction. So it seems like Echo is the last of a part of their backstory that they want to leave behind and now go into a different direction, starting with what we saw in the Super Bowl trailer with Deadpool and Wolverine. Your thoughts on the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, which has garnered and amassed, actually it's the largest, I think it's the most watched trailer of all time for Marvel. At least I'm going to go ahead and get the exact records, but it has hit records. People are excited. People want this to be good. Just by the response, people want this to be good. People want this to save the MCU, even if it means Deadpool destroys the MCU. Your thoughts, my friend, on Deadpool and Wolverine?
I thought you said that the MCU was already over based off of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Wasn't that it? At one point?
Well, again, it's Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3. Yeah, don't get me started on that one. It was a solid movie, but you promised, or it seemed like everybody was the movie premise was going to have that, that would be the final time that some members of the Guardians of the Galaxy would die, but just seemed like, we're just going away for a while. That just it didn't end the way I wanted it to end, or the way I thought it would end. So I guess we will just leave it at that. But this seems to be a new chapter that they're starting this year. They seem to be turning the page. The old ways, after cutting back on what they were doing there in the old ways of thinking, as far as just putting out anything that and see if it sticks, as far as in the Marvel universe, that old way of thinking seems to have ended. Now with Deadpool, with the thought and the possibility of him just changing the landscape of the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward, coming up in July, seems to be a great possibility as well.
Well, I mean, if I can just reflect on the trailer really quick, and then a prediction,
Cool.
I guess, on what I think Deadpool 3, what I think it means for this year and what its potential is. The trailer is really good. The first two times I watched it on the Monday show, I honestly, it happened so quick. The trailer is so quick, right? It kind of pans pans to
Yeah, but that's why
pans.
you got to go find the extended one on YouTube, my friend.
Well, either way, we slowed it down and did that
Mhm.
whole deal. And honestly, I was kind of iffy about it, but now that I watched it again today, before I
Mhm.
came out with you, I really felt like it was very effective. It mixed all the elements of the Deadpool first two films, right? That the people who enjoyed those films a lot and will go see this film automatically,
Mhm.
would be happy with. They added the R-rated elements in there. The humor was totally not MCU style humor, right? That we would normally get. The whole Marvel Jesus, the whole sir, you soiled your pants, I believe, or whatever. That was so Deadpool esque. Like
Mhm.
for them to slip that in there, the pegging thing with the TVA agents. What a great
Yes.
way to announce the TVA or have him, be handled by Wade like that with
Mhm.
humor like that, because it's a total contrast to anything we saw with Loki and the TVA, right? And
Yes.
again, people out there like and I know in the mass audience out there that don't follow this stuff as closely as we do, right? Didn't watch Loki, don't know who the TVA are, right? So the fact that they didn't overextend the TVA, they just kind of presented them the way that they did, I thought was very effective and well done in that short teaser. And from then on, it just was absolutely excellent. A great mix of what Deadpool is all about, and then that great shadow of Wolverine, as just to build up, speculation and desire for people to watch the next trailer and break some record, which I can't track down either. I thought Endgame and Infinity War had the highest ratings of all time.
This was the most watched movie trailer in the first 24 hours in
Okay,
history. 365 million views within 24 hours. So it
so
just
that's what it was.
tells you the excitement that people have, not only for the Deadpool character, but how people are actually wanting this to succeed.
Do you think
Whether
now,
it's
Jared? Now, do you think that it's like a? What do you think the split is? Is it the Deadpool brand it's himself, the R-rated interjection of his character, kind of into the MCU, along with just us wanting good quality films, this being the only film we're getting this year? What do you think?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I think it's a combination of just people wanting the MCU, wanting an event to go to, wanting something major and big to look forward to. The next thing people actually have looking forward to is Dune Part 2, which is getting amazing reviews as of this point. But after that, they want something to look forward to, and there is no traditional early May movie that's going to be playing. This is so that there is a Marvel movie coming out, but it's not until July, and this is what they want to work. So people that have talked about the demise of superhero movies, I'm not going to say it's unwarranted. I'm definitely not going to say it's unwarranted, because there is still a demand for it. It's not quite the demand of the days of what we saw in 2018 and 2019, but there are people who want superhero movies to still work.
There are, and in the MCU fandom, you're right. I mean, it has to matter. Do you think to even the dejected ones that we only have this one film to work with, and then the rest of our stuff, this Disney Plus series wise for the rest of the year is animated, except
Yeah.
for the WandaVision spinoff, right?
Well,
With
that again, we'll see when that comes out. It's still, I'm not counting anything until I actually see a date, a
no,
premiere date for it. So
that's how, again, we've talked about this before multiple times. That's how scattered things have been. They're
yes,
really readdressing a lot of things. I mean, look at, they took the Daredevil episode total down. They pared it down to 13 already, right?
yes,
They've
yes,
re-scrapped it, a la Blade, right? With
yes.
Mahershala. They've re-scrapped, gone back to square one with the story writing and whatnot and everything, and the writing and whatnot. Look at how quickly they made those changes with that.
Yes.
I know we're talking about a movie versus a series, but the Blade thing's been going on for a hot minute, and you know that.
Yes.
So I'm just glad that I hope I hope the next trailer just kills it for Deadpool 3. I really do. These trailers and the word of mouth that comes off of them are huge. I think this is going to be a really pivotal film for the MCU this year. It's going to make money, right? I guarantee it. I'm sure you agree. It's going to make money.
Yes.
It might not make $1 billion in the box office worldwide, but it's going to make money.
I think it's going to. I think this one is geared up to do quite well. Quite well. I think I'd probably say $1 billion is not out of reach for this film. I think that if this good,
Well said.
if it's good, it will reach, even if it's an R-rated movie. We've seen an R-rated movie now cross that $1 billion threshold with Joker. I have a feeling that this could be. I think would be the second movie to do so if that's the case. But again, it has to be good and it has to accomplish a lot of things. And we'll see what happens though with Deadpool and Wolverine. But Marvel has to be happy with the fact that it was the most watched movie trailer in 24 hours. That has got to be a good sign that people still want to go experience Marvel in the movie theaters, Jeff.
Yes, no, it connects. I mean, hey, the Spider-Man, Spider-Man 3 pulled similar numbers and whatnot, and everything with their initial, trailers. So they set records, I believe, too. At that point, if that connect the dots off that, I know that we're in a different place here in the MCU, but I liked how you said that it's within reach, that $1 billion mark. It's just at this point, Gerald, I just don't have the confidence that it's going to boil down to word of mouth. Look at Oppenheimer, right? Look at the word of mouth is what built Oppenheimer up and kept it in theaters and helped it achieve the financial goals it did. Make the money it did. So I think the word of mouth is going to be huge, maybe more than ever needed in the MCU, right? For people to maybe wait before they see the film, then go see it.
Once again, it is Jeff Sloboda from the MCU's Bleeding Edge. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching this. We truly appreciate it. We're talking Marvel's almost Marvel-ous week. I've rephrased it. I've actually changed it in the description because the fact it is almost, but we will discuss why it's an almost Marvel-ous week at the end of the interview here, at the end of the conversation, because we want to talk all about good stuff that's going on right now with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all the Marvel stuff that's going on. The Fantastic Four cast was announced, and that was announced on Valentine's Day. So your thoughts on this, my friend? The Fantastic Four cast announced. It is coming out next year. It's actually swapped places with another one of them. I think it's swapped places with Captain America movie. As far as just a couple months back, they pushed it, but it is scheduled for a 2025 release. So the cast has been revealed. Pedro Pascal is Reed Richards. Vanessa Kirby is Sue Richards. Ivan Mas Bacharach is going to play the Thing, and Joseph Quinn, it's the Human Torch. Your thoughts, my friend? I will say, Ivan Mas Bacharach, if you've not seen The Bear, I'm going to have to sit down with The Bear. So many people praise it. His performance is one of the many that are good in it. It's absolutely outstanding. This is not his first turn in Marvel. He did play a role in the Punisher series, but that looks like that's going to be no more. But I tell you what, Pedro Pascal, he's not busy enough, Jeff. I don't know what he's just lounging around, not doing anything. It's not like he's working on anything or not being a part of any other movies or television shows. For God's sakes, he's not doing much at all, seemingly at all. But it looks like he took time out of his day to go ahead and be part of this series. I'm kidding, of course, everyone. Everybody knows he's in The Mandalorian, The Last of Us.
It's confounding that
Yes.
I've been confounded by this. The only reason I've been somewhat speculative about them actually going with him, and was surprised when it became firm a while back that like he was locked in, kind of pretty much by rumor, the rumor mill, and by actual trusted sources on Twitter, YouTube, so whatever. I was like, okay, how we got The Last of Us, which we covered, The Mandalorian we cover, right? This guy, like, they're going to do another season of The Mandalorian. The Last of Us season 2 is highly anticipated. Where does this guy going to fit in the time in his schedule?
I feel like he's going to the buffet and just loading up because his plate is full, my friend. But obviously, they're going to work around him. Disney is going to, obviously, since he's part of The Mandalorian,
Yes,
which is another Disney property, they've worked out things logistically. So, Pedro Pascal, he is cashing in. Great for him. He is going to play a major role as Reed Richards because we know Reed Richards takes a front and center role, not just for the Fantastic Four. I have a feeling they're going to utilize him as a key actor going forward. I know it's been talked about, will he be the next RDJ, as far as front and center. I think it could be somewhat near that level. I think it will be more of a shared responsibility as far as who takes the lead in this next equation, this next chapter of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But Pedro Pascal, I'm not going to doubt him. I doubted him before as Joel, obviously because I remembered playing the video games and seeing Joel on the screen playing a little bit differently by Troy Baker, who actually was in The Last of Us. And
yep.
I doubted that for a second. Then I watched The Last of Us and called it one of the best shows I've seen in the past 20 years. So you know what?
We agreed on that too. We talked about that before.
I'm not going to doubt anymore. I'm not going to doubt now. Nobody should doubt Pedro Pascal anymore, Jeff.
And I didn't play the games, so I didn't have that, Gerald. I don't know if I know we discussed.
I think it's actually better if you don't play the games.
And I got some flack.
And it's really good. And I did play the games.
People that I made sure I had people on the panels. Remember, I told you that knew the games, right? Yeah. Because I knew I didn't have that. Like I always do with the Star Wars or whatnot. I try to make sure I have assets as guests that are there that can fill in these gaps that I can. Now, Cyber told me that I have to watch The Bear as well. Just to be clear, Cybers are my co-hosts.
The Bear's got to be must watch. I know I've just got to binge it. I've only watched an episode. It is really good from what I saw. It's just one of those where some other things get in the way. Take your time, things of that nature. But The Bear's got to be a sit down and watch. Alan was saying, will this be the first good Fantastic Four movie? I think they are lining it up to be. I don't think they're going to blow it like they have in the past. I really think that this time around, my friend, we finally won't have a corny or a bad Fantastic Four. The first two, in the earlier part of this century, were really corny.
Oh,
the last one was just bad, plain out bad. This, I think, is going to go ahead and alleviate those issues and concerns. I think Marvel, with its new approach to how they make their content, for the most part, should be a lot better when it comes to quality control going forward, Jeff.
Well, all I can say is Alan, this is going to be a good movie. They've got a year and a half to drop it, right? There's no strikes, right? Essentially a year and a half they've got to work with, and and I'm sure they're already ahead of their pre-production, even without having, to whatever degree they could, without the cast set. I'm sure that they've got everything lined up to go, right? Like this isn't going to come in now that they've got this done. This isn't going to be like now it's going to take 3 months just to get our head.
And it switched with the Thunderbolts. I want to correct myself on that. Brave New World comes out February on Valentine's Day next year, almost a year from what we're talking about. So this time next year, my friend, we'll be talking Captain America: Brave New World. Then after that, Thunderbolts on the traditional early May showcase for Marvel. Then in July, it's going to be, which is going to be right 1 year. Get this, July 26th, it's going to be Deadpool and Wolverine. July 25th, the next year, 1 year later, virtually, it's going to be Fantastic Four.
That's a pretty good solid string of movies if they pull them off, Gerald. It really
And
is.
then topped off by Blade in November of like next year.
Yeah, that could be really good. That's a really good string of movies. I didn't think about that, Gerald. I'm glad you illuminated all that. That's actually, that schedule falls in pretty quickly.
As of now, my friend, as we've seen, as of now, what they show, even what they show you at Comic-Con, you might want to throw in the trash 6 months later.
It's already being rumored that the Thunderbolts are going to make that date.
We'll see what happens.
It's not going to happen. But either way, going back to Fantastic Forecasting, I like it. I can see Pedro, even though a lot of people don't agree with me, I can see Pedro Pascal working as Reed Richards, even if he doesn't maybe look comic accurate. I guess, I feel like he can play the character effectively for a long time, which we need him to. And he mirrors with the fact that he already has naturally the gray, a little bit of a gray thing going with his hair. He mirrors the Reed Richards look already with that, at least. The Vanessa Kirby, pick with Sue Storm is very pivotal one. I know a little bit about her. I've done some research. She seems pretty solid. She's younger, which again, that's comic accurate, they have that age separation between Reed and her. And then as far as the rest of the casting goes, Joseph Quinn, I know, obviously, from the Netflix series. I've always forgot the name of it, but Stranger Things, right?
Yes.
Well, there you go. I like him as Johnny Storm. He seems like a capable actor.
Everybody's got to come to grips. That's the guy who died at the very end. I forget his character's name, but he doesn't have the wig on this time around, and or the different kind of hair. So he's going to play. It looks completely different, but he did a fantastic job.
Yeah,
in Stranger Things. So
he was a really good core character. But as far as Fantastic Forecasting goes, really, I mean, I'm happy with what they did.
I think it was Eddie was his name.
Was Eddie? Yeah, Eddie.
Yes.
Yeah. No, he was one of the good guys on the show that was a little older.
Yes.
But as far as the casting goes, I'm happy with it. I'm glad it's set. Enough said with that. We need this movie to work, right? I just want a Doom cameo, please, in the damn movie. Give me a Dr. Doom cameo.
Funny you should mention that, my friend, because if you do a zoom and enhance on one of the final scenes,
saw it.
Okay, and the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, you do see a comic book that's laying near the laying body of Deadpool, and if you zoom and enhance, it is a Dr. Doom edition of Marvel Comics. So
with a machine gun.
Yes. They could be introducing him then, but we'll see. By the time we get to Fantastic Four, he could already be introduced as a character. But I have a feeling, Jeff, we will not escape Dr. Doom coming out of Fantastic Four at some point in time. Whether he's the main baddie or just introduced by that time or just mentioned or just, whatever, however he is integrated, by the time we come out of Fantastic Four, I think we'll have our Dr. Doom.
That's where I was going. So I'm glad that you put it in that way, Gerald. That's all I want. I just want him in the MCU, right? Mm-hmm. I grasp the Feige's, I sort of guess intentions to want to not have him be the main villain of the first film, have it be something involving Galactus and one of the heralds and whatnot and all that. That makes sense to me. I'm with that. I'm saying just get him in here, right? It doesn't even have to be in the Fantastic Four film, like you said. But besides that, I really have nothing else. I mean, we don't know that much about the movie really in terms of the plot. Really, we know who some of the characters are going to be, but as far as the storyline, what time of if it's even going to be in our time period, if it's going to be in back in the time type deal. There's been a lot of rumors. We don't know that much really tangibly about how the story's going to flush out. So until we actually get more information. Then I'll have more thoughts on the impact of the film, right? But I think it's really huge. And I know as a fan myself, and I'm sure you probably would agree, I want to see the Fantastic Four done right.
Once again, it is Jeff Sloboda, the man of true knowledge, right here for the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Please go ahead and check out what he's doing today at MCU's Bleeding Edge on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Before we head on out, my friend, a couple things we need to discuss. X-Men 97, that trailer dropped as well. Marvel really knows when to capitalize on something with the popularity of Deadpool and Wolverine. So they decided to go ahead and drop the trailer for the upcoming series that comes out on March the 20th on Disney Plus, and that is X-Men 97, revisiting, reimagining, a extension of what took place in the 90s with the wonderfully loved and much beloved series X-Men during that period of time. This seems to be an extension from that, made lovingly in that style. It will not have, I think, probably the film grain and the CRT look. As best they can try to make it from the 1997 to look a little bit more polished. But I will tell you what, my friend, I think a lot of people are looking forward to it. You and about three other people put that TikTok video and Twitter video up on my DMs as soon as it came out. So I can tell the older fans are excited out there for X-Men 97, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, I told you. I mean, I'm 41, Gerald. I think I've told you that before.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm getting older. And now I didn't watch the original X-Men animated series dedicatedly, in a dedicated form. I watched it loosely.
Mm-hmm.
So we're now reviewing it over on our Monday, actual titled show of the week, the MCU's Bleeding Edge report.
Mm-hmm.
We've been reviewing the original X-Men animated series, 2 episodes at a time. As sort of a back half segment, of our show. And I'm enjoying the heck out of it. I love the X-Men in general. I love the adaptation, the characters that they brought together for the X-Men animated series, because it really, from a comic standpoint, the characters that are in the show mostly come from the Blue Team, right? From the early 90s when they split the team up, and you had the Uncanny X-Men that had the Gold Team. You had the X-Men self-titled book, right, during the boom, where they split them up, and that was the book where you had your Blue Team. Basically, the whole Blue Team was the ones I liked, right? That's your core characters in the X-Men animated. Rogue, as the actual good Rogue with her power set, whatnot from the comics, not the Fox X-Men Rogue. Another discussion from another show, but the X-Men animated stuff. I haven't watched the teaser yet because I'm waiting to react to it. Probably tonight or tomorrow with my co-host and whatnot. And Andre's a pop culture guy, so I want to be authentic for my reaction. But I'm fired up. I want the X-Men in the MCU. I'll take it whatever form I can get. If this is all we can get, I'm happy. And I've heard the same things you've said, that it looks like the animation is similar to what we used to get before, but more polished. So we should not expect anything, massively enhanced. I'm fine with that. What I'm really all about with it is the story writing going to stick to something that's in the middle between the early 90s and now, to correlate to a mass audience, but also to the people who like the X-Men animated series, right? If you understand me, to where what I really like about the original series itself is the fact that it is the early 90s, so it is pretty, for a child's show or whatever, type show, for a children's show or whatever. It is pretty adultish, like it's pretty somewhat mature. I like that aspect of it, with the writing and the way the characters are portrayed more accurately as they should be. So we're looking forward to covering it. We're going to be doing it on our Monday shows when it releases. I'm glad we have a release date. That's really great. And I'm glad that I was at least in the mix of the 3 people that hit you up, with that information. Thank you for letting me know that it was on TikTok.
Yep. It seemed to be all over the place on social media. A lot of people are looking forward to it, my friend. It is X-Men 97. It is coming out as a series on Disney Plus on March 20th. But before we head on out, my friend, wanted to go ahead and ask you your thoughts on something that kind of just detracted from all the Marvel goodness that came out this week, and that was Madam Web, which dropped on Valentine's Day, and it was no love. There was no love for Madam Web. The Sony Spider-Man spinoff, unfortunately, has floundered. It earned very little dollars compared to Bob Marley's One Love on the same day. And Bob Marley's One Love, as of the weekend we're recording it, looks like it will hit about $35 to $40 million in the weekend, whereas Madam Web may not do half that much. It is another offshoot for the Spider-Man universe, which seems to be another bomb, heading in the way of Morbius, which was a bomb for Sony, with Kraven the Hunter and possibly other Spider-Man offshoots in the work. As far as some have worked, obviously the Into the Spider-Verse movies have worked. Obviously the Venom movies have worked, but when they've gone to this next level of the Spider-Verse, it hasn't clicked for them yet, and I'm really not sure it will, Jeff. I'm really not sure it will.
I'm going to see it tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but I'm going to go see it on Saturday.
The reviews in advance, just to let you know, as you know.
Oh, I know.
Terrible.
Oh, I know. No, I'm going to see it tomorrow. I am going to go see it tomorrow, and we're going to review it. Right? Cyber already saw it. Now, Cyber Mike is my co-host of the MC's Bleeding Edge, and he's my cinema guy. That's what he does with his individual content. He's all movies, and essentially, he says it's entertaining at the very least. That's what he told me. That's what I got from him.
Well,
now, at the same time, Screen Crush, Ryan Erie, all right, he very rarely ever likes to slam films, right? Ever. I don't know if you're familiar with the guy, but he doesn't. He usually tries to give the benefit of the doubt to almost everything that he reviews or talks about. He even slammed Madam Web already and said, literally said, don't watch it on TNT or something. Don't go to the movie theater and watch this. Mm-hmm. So I've heard the reviews. Yes, I'm still going to watch it. And my main thing is, Gerald, people don't grasp that when these films from Sony suck like this or whatever, or this well badly received immediately, word of mouth wise, this affects the Marvel brand, thus lending over to the MCU, right? That doesn't help us, as MCU fans. I'm not a Sony Marvel fan. So I'm just saying, there is that connection where we don't need that extra stuff to already degrade our brand right now as far as the MCU goes, or the Marvel Studios or Marvel brand, even with the comics. So I just don't see how this is helping anybody, really. It's certainly not going to help Kraven.
Yeah. Absolutely. Certainly not going to help Kraven in the least. It seems to me a similar pattern for what we saw from the DCEU last year, is where one started off bad and it just, like dominoes, all the rest of the movies that came out for the DCEU last year, because obviously the advance word that none of those movies really were going to be relevant for what was happening in the future. So why waste our time? So all of those movies did terrible. So definitely looking forward to seeing what we can go ahead and check out. Maybe some better Spider-Man movies when Venom 3 comes out, and then when also as far as the last Spider-Verse trilogy movie that comes out hopefully next year, but we'll wait and see. Dante, great to have you here. Alan says Madam Web wasn't bad. It helped me go to sleep.
There you go. See, it wasn't bad. That's what Cyber said. He said it was all right. It was entertaining.
It helped him go to sleep. Okay.
Good. There you go. See? Tell Alan my date fell asleep one time during the Eternals, right? Okay. My date fell asleep.
Well, that explains everything. But Jeff, I know the Eternals is not a much beloved movie at all either. And I did see finally the Marvels, and it has to go in my bottom 3. I have to update my list on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com.
It was at least entertaining.
It was as goofy as a Marvel movie I've ever seen. I think the word goofy is the best thing I could get out of it. Goofy was the way I see it, and that's just not what I wanted my Marvel to be in that sense. I don't mind it being goofy when it comes to Deadpool. I do mind it when they're trying to be serious and it ends up looking goofy and being goofy. But
nah, it was goofy.
It was goofy to say the least. But before we head on out, my friend, it's time for you to do the magic pitch on what's going on with the MCU's Bleeding Edge, my friend.
Well, first off, folks, you can find the MCU's Bleeding Edge on every major platform that there is. We're not really a podcast outfit as much as Gerald is. We're really more digital creators. We just basically throw over our digital stuff back over on our podcast. So, but we're a live streaming outfit. We live stream on Monday nights, Wednesday nights, and Friday nights, right, in the evening. And essentially, we've got some good stuff coming up. Right now we're doing our regular movie reviews. We've got Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the originals from '74 tonight. We've been adding some drinking game type motifs to our shows just recently. Mm-hmm. So, if you're into that whole deal of watching people review live TV show, series and movies and whatnot while drinking, and potentially becoming intoxicated while, participating in the show, we're doing that occasionally here and there now. Fits in with our, Bleeding Edge style. And we're going to cover Shogun when it comes out. Don't know what your thoughts have been on that, Joe. Maybe we'll be able to talk about
it looks epic. It looks epic. I watched the original one back in the day, and I'm hoping this will take suit as far as the, telling a story, a compelling tale that I think hopefully a lot of people will get into. FX, obviously, with the bear and some other things, have really, when they put their mind and when they're writing into it, FX series, FX shows have done good critically. We'll see if it connects with a larger audience, but I'm looking forward to it. Shogun actually looks something like I think that people need to check out.
The trailers look like the writing is really good, and the theme of it is very, very dramatic and adult, right?
Yes.
Which I really enjoyed. So we're going to cover it. Our first review is the Wednesday after the show releases with the first episode. And then we're going to do Knuckles as well when Knuckles comes out from the Sonic, I guess whatever universe. We decided we're going to do Knuckles in April. Okay. So, X-Men 97, March 20th. We'll be covering that on Mondays, right? Yes. And that's pretty much it. Come check us out. There you go.
MCU's Bleeding Edge. Please go ahead and check it out today on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Well, my friend, it's always great catching up with you. I know you and I just finally had to figure out a day to sit down and do this. There was much, and I'm glad we waited. I'm glad it actually is by circumstance we waited, because Marvel ended up having a almost marvelous week.
Yeah.
Like I say.
That's a really good point. They did. Honestly, Joe, I'm happy too. And I'm just happy always to be on the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's always a wonderful opportunity. I'm thankful for it.
So again, it is Jeff Sloboda from the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Last couple things before we go. I really want to go ahead and ask your thoughts. Are you now more optimistic on the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, seeing how it's been reformatted by Kevin Feige, seeing the problems that emanated in the past couple years, seeing all the bad projects that have come out where they were just throwing out there and see if anything stuck? Now you're getting into a point where they're trying to build towards a much better universe. I'm thinking now that the MCU is back on a good track. Obviously we have to see it to be the case, but I'm really thinking that they are headed in a good direction once again, Jeff.
I'm in agreement with you. I see you know that I've always remained optimistic this whole time anyway. Mm-hmm. But what I really do worry about after a while, Gerald, is other people's optimistic level. Right? Yeah. Not mine. You understand that. As an MCU fan, as someone that, started the MCU's Bleeding Edge because I read these comics as a kid, right? Mm-hmm. Even though I'm not a heavy, critiquer with the comic accuracy stuff normally, mm-hmm. Marvel Comics is a part of my growing up process, mm-hmm. right? It helped me learn to get into reading to where I read, actual novels, and started reading actual, I read the Lord of the Rings because Marvel Comics, right? So, it helped me learn to read better. So, that's why I have both my kids get comic subscriptions for Marvel for me every year. Mm-hmm. They read them too. They like them. And so, no, my optimism is with these moves, like you said, it all looks good. It looks like somebody's actually finally got their eye on the ball with what's going on with the budgets. They're going to cut down on all this money that they're wasting, right? Mm-hmm. And go back to quality. So, yes, I'm heavily optimistic.
I'm happily optimistic as well, and looking forward to a much better slate. Yes, it's only one movie this year from Marvel, but I think it's going to be very successful. It's going to have a huge opening. Whether or not it's successful and has what they call in the movie business tails, as far as having that consistent growth throughout August and September. We'll see, but at least the opening, based off of the anticipation, based off of the fact that it has garnered records for movie trailers watching, I really think that's going to have an absolutely huge opening at the end of July. Whether or not it's going to sustain itself, we'll wait and see. But again, we'll be talking about that at that point in time. But Jeff, I'm so thankful and so happy that we finally got a chance to sit down and talk some Marvel. I'm looking forward, once that movie comes out, we get to go ahead and just chew the fat then. And always glad to have you here. Always glad to go ahead and push the MCU's Bleeding Edge on everyone to make sure that they get a chance to check it out, because it's some good stuff there and hopefully some good stuff here, right here at the Pop Culture